and start the review. Yeah, a little gimmick there for those of you who enjoy the Equalizer series. Which, that whole watch gimmick is really cool, except he kind of forgets to use it during the last bit, which, fair enough, then like the first couple scenarios where he does the whole stopwatch to see how long he can kick some people's butts. This time, he's fighting up against a bunch of people over a wider area and in a hurricane, so you kind of forgive the man. So, Equalizer 1, I enjoyed it. Didn't think it was the best movie I've seen. I think I was a little too hard on it because I was comparing it too much to John Wick. So, after rewatching it, it's actually a lot better than I remember, and still an enjoyable action film. Same with Equalizer 2. So, I come surprised to see that this thing actually has the lowest rating on Rotten Tomatoes when I checked it. It's losing to Mamma Mia 2. And even Unfriended 2, which, look, I mentioned in Unfriended it's better than the first one, but it's still not that great of a movie. Mamma Mia 2, I did see. I'll shoot the review later because I had a headache at the end of that movie and I needed to relax before I went to go see this one with family and friends. So, Equalizer 2. While it might be the lowest ranked on Rotten Tomatoes, and after reading some reviews and watching the movie, yeah, I can see why. Mostly because apparently people don't like, well, how to put this bluntly. You can preach in movies to these people as long as you're preaching what they want to hear. You preach anything they don't want to hear, and suddenly everyone gets upset. When you see the movie, you'll understand, and you definitely should see this movie. It's a good action film, definitely worth any matinee price, definitely worth the full price of admission in my honest opinion. Not necessarily for an IMAX or 3D if they're actually showing it. I don't think they are, but eh. So, what makes this movie good is Denzel's character, Mac. He's basically, Killer Batman. There's so many jokes one can make about him being Batman, including the fact that he actually does have a secret cave in his apartment. Granted, it's a panic room, but still. And he does a lot of his good work at night, so... And the first shot you see when they get back to the city, it's at night, and it pans up to this clock tower, and I swear I wanted him to be up there, just overlooking the city, because he fights basically like Batman would in the comics. His fighting style is very, well, for lack of better words, real. A lot of complaints I heard from Iron Fist when people were watching is that they didn't like the fight choreography versus something like Daredevil or even the Punisher. The difference between those guys is they do, how to put this bluntly, they do movie fighting versus real fighting. Real fights, you're in, you're out, you're done, that's it. Your average martial artist should be able to handle someone in about 5 to 6 seconds, which, he does a pretty good job of that, even though he mentions he's getting slower with his age. You should be able to get in, neutralize a target, and get out. If you're fighting for more than 10 to 12 seconds, you either find someone who's way better than you should be, or you're doing something wrong. Usually the second over the first. And Denzel's character Mac in this actually fights very similar to that. He goes in, he does the quick shots, he goes for the vital areas, he goes for the joints, he immobilizes, he incapacitates, and he's not afraid to use anything he wants to at his advantage. Be it a glass of water, a teapot, or flour. Or baking soda technically, but any of you who've taken first year chemistry will know exactly what he's doing when he starts messing with the baking soda. But it's enjoyable, and the one thing I will give credence to, and it's a fair assessment, the movie does feel like it's disjointed because it's one overarching plot where he's trying to avenge his friend who gets killed, but at the same time you have a lot of subplots constantly going on that kind of separate it. But to me, it actually makes it feel more whole. It doesn't feel as empty. Because he does have a life and everything outside of this he has created, and he has people who kind of depend on him. So it would be kind of weird for him to stop just to handle this, and it would seem weird, especially considering he's trying to maintain a somewhat low profile. So, yeah, I actually find the inclusions of all these side stuff actually more enjoyable. But enjoyment doesn't equal technically good, because if you don't enjoy it, you're going to find it massively disjarring, and you may not get the full value out of it. Sad to say. But all the side stories I legitimately liked. I liked that when he was talking to this old Jewish World War II survivor who got separated from his sister, and all he wants is this portrait of her that he's been trying to get for years, but because he doesn't have any evidence, he can't get her, and that's all he has left of her. To, I believe his name was Mel, who's this inner city kid. Basically, if I tell you that, you can pretty much picture him in your head, the stereotypical one. But, unlike your stereotypical one that you would see portrayed in movies, the gangster and all that stuff, he's actually got a good heart. He's living in a pretty tough area and he's trying to make it through. And what Mac talks to him about, he's turning him into a man. Instead of trying to be just a wannabe gangster thug, selling drugs and all this stuff, he's actually seeing what's good in him and what he can actually strive to be. Which does get into a bit of the preachy area, one could say, if you're not... It's complicated, and it's the politics. I don't like talking politics. I like to keep it out of the movies. And this one's not really in the politic aspect like I normally would say. It's more about personal growth and being a good human being. Anybody can be a bad guy. It doesn't take that much. You could do something horrible. I could go punch somebody randomly in the street. Someone could go break into somebody's house. You could kill someone. Granted, you're not supposed to and usually fight that urge, but it is possible to do. It's a lot harder to live a good life and be an upstanding citizen. But at the end of the day, a good citizen can look himself in the mirror and say he's a good person. Can't do that with the other people. And that's what Mac does. He's trying to bring Mel up into an actually good human being. In fact, if I might say, there's almost a better story in that than you have in this movie, but nitpicky at best. Because the best part of this movie, besides that stuff, all the side, I guess you could say side missions, this was a video game, all the side stuff actually gives you some of the best, some kills, some not kills you'll see in the entire movie because, like I mentioned, he is quick, he is efficient, and man is it nasty to watch. I have never seen somebody fight somebody in the back seat while driving so effortlessly, but yet still realistically. I've never seen, like, in recent memory, outside of some Korean films, because they love this type of stuff, just go into a room, notice everything, and take them all out in under 30 seconds. I think it was like 29.65, so he's still good. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. Yes, you're going to see some product placement here for Lyft, and according to one of my friends, I think they said MacBook was in it, or something like that. Like, I didn't catch that one, because Lyft was a prominent because he's a Lyft driver, so you take what you can. I mean, the first Equalizer, he was basically shelling Home Depot, so who are we to judge? So, at the end of the day, is this a movie everybody should see? Yeah, I'm going to say no, just because it's not for everybody. If you enjoy a good action film, this is definitely one you can enjoy. If you enjoy a somewhat action film with actually good characters involved, it's definitely worthy of that too. But it is an action movie first, so you got to go in with that mindset. And you'll get your money's worth out of the action. It may not be as long and drawn out like, let's say, a Marvel movie is, like Avengers was, where you had basically a half-hour fight scene. But for what you get, it's quick, concise, it's enjoyable, you get moments, and Mac's character delivers great one-liners that actually makes you stop, get a good chuckle, and move on. It's got heart, it's got character, and I honestly think this film deserves a lot more praise than it's getting. Granted, I can see why people get upset with it, because, as I mentioned, the disjointedness, and he could be a little preachy to some people. But if you can look past that, you have a really good movie here that's honestly probably going to be my top 10 best. Mostly because of all the movies I've seen before, I can say they're good and to average. You know, like I enjoy them, but they're average. They don't really have that extra level that pushes it up. Equalizer 2 has that little extra bit with its characters. The fight scenes are really good. It's brutal. It's real. You enjoy it. Okay, the car thing might not be as real, and like I said, who would fight in a hurricane, but you take what you can, and at the end, it's a really enjoyable movie. I'm glad I saw it. I'll probably see it again when it's on TNT or TBS or whoever picks it up. So, yeah. So, next up, guys, I will be doing my Mamma Mia 2 review. Like I said, I was really not feeling it, and yes, this is better than Mamma Mia 2. But how is Mamma Mia 2? Well, tune into my next video. As always, guys, I'm Kevin Riley signing off, and I'll see you all next time. Later.